Alrighty. Welcome in everybody to episode 4. Yes, this is number 4 of the Chillinois basketball podcast. I'm Chase Swearingen, once again joined by Noah Morgano. This podcast episode is going to be a little bit different, not because we have a guest, not because we're doing anything particularly different, but we finally have a win to review. The Illini knocked off Tennessee in Nashville at Bridgestone Arena by a final score of 75 to 62 on Saturday night. That entire night was huge for sports with the Big Ten championship game, Indiana beating Ohio State. That was on 90% of the TVs that I was at the bar. 90% of the TVs had that game on, and I was lucky enough to have the little corner TV for Jeff and I. Jeff Moore, our podcast guest from last episode, him and I watched the game together Saturday night. He was a little bit more disappointed. I was a little bit more thrilled. It's good to say we got the monkey off the back, Noah, because there were some people kind of doubting us and whether or not we were the curse for the Illini, because ever since we started this podcast, they've been losing games. Now we've got a win to talk about. It was certainly a game of two halves, though. So we'll start off with the first half of the Illini game. I'd like to get into your thoughts about that because I really thought first half and second half it looked like two different teams. I'm not sure what Brad Underwood said at halftime. They were down, I believe, 14 or 15 in terms of the rebounds going into the half. They were down two in a game they looked like they should have been up in. Whatever Brad said, it worked. And I know we've said in the past, Brad isn't necessarily the greatest in-game adjustments coach. I think he did a fine job this time around, but the first half was a little sketchy. What did you think about the Illini at least coming out to start that game?
Yeah, I don't want to take complete credit, but ever since this hat arrived in the mail, my Balkan hat, my paperboy hat, we're undefeated. So I will take the credit. Shout out to Carl. I think that the first half was very embarrassing. I texted you, I said I was not impressed at all with that half. It just, they looked discombobulated. They didn't know what to do. The second half, they looked like the Oregon team, like the Oregon game last year almost. I mean, they were cooking, but it was a little concerning. What really concerned me was the rebounding. I mean, we've talked about it before. This was supposed to be a good rebounding team, especially offensive rebounding. That was one of their skill suits. Now, I know going into the game, that was also both teams were very good. Tennessee was like third, I think, on Ken Palm for offensive rebounding. I mean, they were very good as well, or maybe even first going into that game, if I'm not mistaken. But Illinois managed to pull it out without rebounding the ball. They didn't even shoot many free throws either. I mean, that first half, the refs were calling weird stuff. They were blowing the whistle against Illinois. I didn't like it. I mean, it almost seemed like they were favoring Tennessee a little bit, but I don't think it was bad either way. But no, I wasn't too impressed with the first half. Whatever Brad Underwood told them at halftime must have worked because they came out in the second half and just took the. They just kept their foot on the gas. They didn't let up, and Big Z was hitting shots. Wagler was hitting shots. I mean, everybody seemed to be hitting shots towards the end of that second half, and it was incredible. I mean, we'll get into a little bit more, but very impressive win. It's a win that they needed. I mean, it was a must-win game for Illinois, and you could look at it like, okay, was that the game that Tennessee crumbles? Maybe. I mean, I think they're going to bounce back. I think they'll be just fine. Rick Barnes is a great coach. But that was a must-win game for Illinois. They won it, and on to the next one.
Yeah, and back to the first half for just a second, because there were a few moments where I certainly felt like it was almost similar to the Alabama game, where having been at that game in the United Center, there were a few times where it was like, oh, Illinois is up 3 or 4, but you felt they were up 9 or 10. And it was like, how is this game closer than it actually is? And then to watch Tennessee actually take the 2 point lead going into the half, the Illini, I believe they had a timeout call to play and then turned the ball over with like 30 seconds left to give Tennessee the last shot. Tennessee didn't do anything with the last shot. They missed it anyways, but still, they were down two. Tennessee could have been up potentially 5 points if they made the last second shot. And then there was also that really concerning moment early on in the game when I believe it was David Mirkovich kind of takes out his own player and Kylan Boswell. It looked like a more serious shoulder injury at the start. I've watched some of the post game reports. Doesn't look like they're talking about it a whole lot, so it must have just been a stinger. But at first, when I saw that collision and then Kylan grimacing on the floor, it was like, oh my goodness, this is the last thing this Illinois team needs. Their dog, their leader, to go down with a serious shoulder injury. I thought at one point, I don't like to speculate because I'm not a doctor, but I thought at one point it almost looked like it was a dislocation, which would have been, I suppose, if it was a serious injury, the best case scenario. They just pop it back in and hope he gets better and it's less sore in a few days. Um, Ultimately, it turned out to be nothing, but it was very scary to see. Uh, but then, like we said, they turned it around in the second half. Um, I'd like to know what Brad said at halftime. I'm sure there's going to be reports coming out. At least he didn't mention much in the post game interviews. Um, but it was impressive, that turnaround, to say the least. They went down two at the half, like I said before. They were also down 14 or 15 in the rebounding category. Now the game finished. If you look at the stats, they still were out rebounded. Let's see here. It was 31 to 46 in favor of Tennessee. So it was still a 15-point rebounding margin. But it just felt like the Illini were getting every important rebound in the second half. Um, there's a little, there was about 4 minutes where the Illini had the ball the entire 4 minutes of that time in the last 4 minutes of the game. And I'll get into that a little bit later because I think it was so important to this win. Um, but it looked like a different team. There were those two threes that went down by Zvonimir back to back after Tennessee had cut it to 9, bringing the game back to 12 points. One of my favorite parts of this game, at least, was I think it really showed the camaraderie of this Illini team really showed in this game. Z made those two threes, and he's looking at his brother who's about to check into the game, skipping at him. There was that Andrei Stojakovic missed dunk in the second half where Brad gives him a big hug after. Now, I really wish Andre had thrown that down. It would have been a highlight for the entire season. Alas, he did miss the dunk. It didn't really matter. Brad gave him a big hug. So you can really see the camaraderie in this team. It looks like they're having fun. In the second half, I really felt like they started to gel for the first time all season. They've had a few practices, like we spoke about before. They had 8 days to get ready for this game. But I think that was the biggest takeaway in the second half, even with the rebounding margin. We're finally making some shots, which looks good. But seeing this team gel, and most notably, Tomislava Visic finally looked like Tomislava Visic. If you have any points on him, I'll let you talk about that. But he looked really good, and I think that's going to be extremely important for the rest of the season for the Illini.
I got a fever. It's orange fever, and the only cure is more Merc. I need it in my veins. But since you were talking about Tommy, I will mention that this was definitely his best game. He was cooking with gas. He was hitting his shots. More importantly, he was in the paint, and he was posting up, and he was making layups, and he was getting rebounds, and he was getting physical, and it looked good. I mean, it was something that we haven't seen yet this year, and we know he's capable of it. We know he's capable of much more. So it was just nice to finally see him back in rhythm and back doing his thing and comfortable, and him and Z out there together a little bit. And like you were saying, looking at each other on the bench and hyping each other up. And even, when Z was hitting those two back-to-back threes and Tommy was going crazy, I mean, you could tell that he's just so much happier this year with his brother there, and they're really clicking, and I'm impressed. I want to see it continue. Hopefully this can be an ongoing thing for him, and it needs to be if we want to keep winning these big games. And I think that was the reason we won, is because he had a good game. If Tommy doesn't have a good game, we probably lose. I mean, we got out rebounded like crazy, but he was able to stretch the floor. He was able to play pretty good defense. So I was very impressed. Merck, he was decent. He didn't have a bad game, I don't think. He looked pretty comfortable out there. I'd say there was that clip of him that Illinois had posted where he was jawing at some random Tennessee fan, like way too much, quite frankly. And if he keeps doing that, he might like get teed up. But it was pretty interesting to see nonetheless, because I mean, you love to see the passion, the enthusiasm that he has. I mean, if he's willing to jaw at a fan, I mean, then he's a Pizza Hut parking lot kind of guy. And Illinois just released the post hype video today, And in the locker room, you hear Brad say, it's a Pizza Hut parking lot mentality. So they're still preaching the Pizza Hut parking lot. I love it. I mean, I haven't eaten at Pizza Hut in many years, but I'm thinking about going back just because of Illinois basketball. But nonetheless, I thought the Bigs played very well. And let's shout out Benham Rickhouse too, because Benham Rickhouse had an amazing game. I mean, he was all over the place defensively, and everybody was talking online. Oh, he didn't take any shots. He didn't take any shots. Like, you don't need to take any shots. I mean, look, you don't have to do that to be a good basketball player. Look at Dennis Rodman. He wasn't taking any shots, and he was one of the best players in the league. So let Ben do what he wants to do. People were mad last year because he was taking too many shots. And now they're mad this year because he's not taking any shots. It's like he's playing better this year. Let him do what he's doing. Don't worry about it. I thought he played really well. I mean, there was a play where he got on the guy and forced the jump ball. And, it was after a whole game of just like very embarrassing rebounding and defense in the paint. So just to see him come off the bench, and he's a guy that Brad will just call off the bench. If somebody's not, rebounding, not doing their job, he gets Ben, comes in, does his job. So super impressed with those guys. I mean, I think that the fours and fives won us the game, in my opinion. I mean, I was very impressed with their performances.
And that's something we highlighted before too. Jeff Moore, our insider for Tennessee, had said that this was going to be kind of a scrapyard dog kind of game. Whoever was going to be able to be more physical inside and kind of enforce their will, that was the team that was going to win the game. And although it didn't look like that on the rebounding margin, if you watch the entire game, it just seemed like the Illini were more physically inside. Getting back to Tomislav, he was 5 for 7 in the post. Um, we really haven't seen any Illini besides Merkovich and some of those cupcake games early on really take it inside to the post and kind of do a turnaround baby hook. Um, Kind of Mike Tisdale-esque, if you ask me, which I really like in his game. Sometimes I think he steps out and shoots too many threes. A few he had early on were pretty short, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. Tommy needs to get up to speed. But, he really came around at the end of the game. And then back to the point you made about Ben. I'm wholeheartedly on the I will not hear any more Ben Humrickhouse slander train. I was on the Ben Humrickhouse slander train last year, and I got a feel for the guy because I think it's just because he had all this hype as a shooter coming into Illinois. He shot 41% out of Evansville or something before when he transferred to Illinois. So it was like, oh, we're getting this 3-point sniper. A lot of people thought he'd be the next Dalton Connect. I know that John Fanta made that comparison, which has not come true at all, unfortunately. But Ben is really, I'm not sure if he heard the people talking about him. I'm not sure if this was an internal discussion he had with himself, but it seems to me like he's really come around to understanding what his role is for the team, and he understands how to help this team win the game. And he knows it's not going to be him scoring 10 points a night. It's not the occasional three will happen. It looked to me like he didn't take any threes because they just weren't there. And that's something I love out of Ben because in the past he's forced shots when they didn't need it. He took them early on in the shot clock. And then another thing I want to point out about Ben's game in the last, I'm going to read our texts from last night because I'm going to be able to do it better. I recapped it better over text last night than I'll be able to remember it off the top of my head. But Ben was so important in that last 4 minutes of the game. He made so many winning plays. Mike LaTulip said the same thing on his review today. And he even broke down some of the film. Just some of the passes out of double teams that Ben made after an offensive rebound to get the ball back to the top of the key. Just incredible winning plays that if you're going to be playing for this Illini and team and not making shots like you're supposed to, this is the best possible way he can help you. It's defense. He blocked 3 shots last night. He had a steal last night. He also rebounded pretty well. But let me go to this text we had. I know I was a little bit hyped up last night, so I was kind of spamming you with text, but there was a series of play. This was exactly what I texted you. Tennessee had the ball down 9 with 3 minutes and 40 seconds left. They missed the shot. Illini got the rebound. Tennessee didn't touch the ball again. And if you watch the highlights, this is 100% accurate. Tennessee didn't touch the ball till Merck made a three at 2:21. So that's a whole minute and my math is horrible here, but that's a minute and 19 seconds in the end of the game when Tennessee is trying to come back, where they didn't touch the ball at all because we just kept getting offensive rebounds, and two of them were Ben Humrickhouse offensive rebounds. Then after Merck makes a three at 2:10, the Illini get another rebound. So that's only 21 seconds with Tennessee having the ball and they miss their shot. And then at 1:30, we get fouled again by Tennessee after a third offensive rebound by Ben Humrickhouse. So that is nearly an entire 3 minutes of basketball in the last 4 minutes of the game that Tennessee didn't touch the ball. They didn't have an opportunity to score the ball, and they're trying to come back. That is so impressive to me. And there's going to be other impressive spurts that the Illini have throughout the season, but so far it was the most impressive 4 minutes of basketball that I watched the Illini play. And I know they were up nine at that point, so it's like you better control the game. Uh, and we'll speak about this in a second here too. I don't think it was as pro Tennessee of a crowd as we maybe thought it would be. Um,
Yeah, that was surprising. That was really surprising.
you got to give it to the Illini fans. They traveled well. But yeah, that 4 minutes at the end there, man, that was if this team can look like that every game and compete like that for 40 minutes every game, we're gonna be really, really hard to beat. And it just after a depressing Alabama loss, after a disheartening UConn loss, I don't know. I'm back on the train, man. Like I know Tennessee isn't the team they were last year. And a lot of people are like, well, we better hope Tennessee keeps winning games now, and we better hope Texas Tech keeps winning games now. But we went 2-2 in that stretch between Texas Tech,
Yeah.
Tennessee, Alabama, and Duke. And we're gonna have another tough test against Missouri coming up, which will be non-conference. But 2-2 against four top 20 teams, that looks really good on the resume come March. And I just I only have good things to say about this Illinois team in the second half. It was really impressive for me. Um, they've got a big game against Ohio State coming up, which we'll get into in a bit too. But before we get to that, do you have any last takes on the Illini for this game? One of my favorite moments actually happened post game with Tomislav smashing the guitar. And if you saw that replay, my favorite part about all of it is the players' reaction. Andre sitting next to him a little bit spooked, Kylan on the other side making a bewildered face, and then Tommy once again smashing it twice and screaming. It's just great stuff to see and taking it into a game against Ohio State in a true road test. I'm excited for that one, but I'll let you close out your thoughts here before we move on this Illinois Tennessee game.
Well, Tommy had asked Brad, "Can I smash it?"
Can I
at the
smush?
end of the
Can
game,
I? You
and
think he
Brad
said,
said,
"Can I smush?"
"No, no, I want to keep it and put it in my office." And then he just, bah, he smashed it. And I'll tell you why he smashed it. He's probably on these Illinois IPAs, if you can see this here. I found these at Benny's ILL IPA, and I hate IPAs, so I didn't enjoy it. But it is really cool that Illinois has their own beer.
Is that like on the can or is that just a koozie?
No, this is an actual ILL IPA can, and it's not showing right now. Hold on.
It's blending in with the green screen.
It is
Oh,
brewed in, it's 6.7%, brewed in Normal, Illinois. That's pretty cool. But yeah, it's an actual beer. I found it at Binny's. And if you like IPAs, it tastes like every other IPA you've ever had, so you'd probably enjoy it. But yeah, just to wrap that game up, I mean, super impressive win. It was like you were saying, to go 2-2 in that stretch. Those were the two games I thought we had the best chance of winning. The Texas Tech game was like, okay, we got to win that. And this game, I mean, UConn, I pretty much assumed we were going to lose that. And the Alabama game, that was a 50-50 because it was in United Center, but Alabama's just a really good team. So these were the two that you wanted to get, and you got them. Last year, they probably, wouldn't have won these two games, to be honest. So just shows that this team's built a little bit different. And you still got another big non-conference game with Missouri coming up in a couple weeks. So they got to, prepare for that. I think Missouri got blown out today, like 20-point loss to,
yeah.
I can't remember who, but it
Kansas. They lost to Kansas today.
yeah. So, they're not too great, but even more reason you got to win that game. And, you know, either way, beating a Rick Barnes coach team and a gritty defensive, team and a physical team. It's just impressive. Brad Underwood is not known for winning those games. I mean, we kind of said it in the preview, like he's probably going to get out coached, and then what happened? He actually out coached Rick Barnes in the second half. So shout out Brad Underwood. I mean, he's trying to prove the haters wrong at every point, and he's starting to make in-game adjustments, and it's like, whoa, what's happening? It's mind blowing. So I was really impressed with the win and the fact that they were able to actually come back in the second half. Usually the second half they struggle and they were able to win by almost 15 points. I mean, that game did not feel like a 15-point win. It was so close the whole time. I mean, it felt like we were losing the whole first half. And then the second half, at the very end, we started to turn it on. But the fact we were able to win by that much, I was really impressed. And yeah, I mean, big test with Ohio State. I think they just beat Northwestern, but either way, I mean, this is going to be probably a quad one win at the end of the year. You hope Tennessee continues to, do good and win some games so it'll boost their resume, but really impressive win by the Illini.
Yeah, and we actually have been saying on this podcast for the last four episodes that, Illini fan sentiment is that Brad Underwood doesn't win big games. But you saying that again reminded me of an Instagram post that I saw this morning from Illini men's basketball. This was actually Brad Underwood's 20th win against a ranked opponent. I'd like to see what the actual record is because, it could be 20 and 150, which I don't think it is, but I think we're probably on like I think it's got to either be like a 500 split or like maybe a little. I feel like there's probably a few more losses in that category. But still, you can say what you want about Brad. He did a great job this game. And one more thing I'd like to say is just the impressive thing to me about this Illini team is we won this game by what, 13 points. They did an excellent job closing the game. They won the second half by 15 points. And there's players that we haven't mentioned yet because they just had poor games that you're kind of like, I mean, if Keaton, who we haven't said yet, he played phenomenally for a freshman, 34 minutes, zero turnovers. That's insane. Tommy played a good game. Kylan played a good game. Ben played a great game defensively. Zvonimir played a good game. But there's four other guys on this Illini roster that could get you on any given night. Andrei Stojakovic only scored 5 points. He can go off for 20 any night. We've seen that before. David Mirkovic only had 10 and 6. Kind of a lackluster game from him in comparison to what he's done so far. Um,
Jake Davis, corner
Mihailo,
three, that fed
oh,
me.
that Jake Davis corner three gave me life, man. That was excellent. But I mean, he's playing in a limited role, obviously. But and then Mihailo, when Kylan went down, Mihailo came in, and actually, if you look at the highlights, I thought Mihailo did really well. He just didn't finish his layups, and a lot of them were through some pretty substantial contact that could have probably drawn a foul, if you ask me. He was 0 for 3 with 0 points, but those are guys we're going to see come into their own towards the end of the season as the Big Ten play rolls on. And it's kind of like, man, like you have off games like that and you still beat a team like the Tennessee Volunteers by 13. And then it's like, okay, maybe Tommy has a bad game next game, but Andre will step up. Or maybe Zvonimir has a bad game next game, but Mihailo is going to step up. They can just attack you in so many ways. It's going to be impressive to watch over the course of the season. Um, so that's what I'm most excited about is it doesn't even seem like we got a full complement of A plus games from the Illini players. I mean, we didn't even see Brandon Lee play in this one.
Oh
I
no,
don't
I'm
know if that's
still
because of
waiting for
injury.
Petro to pop off. I mean, I know Petro's going to pop off sometime soon.
Yeah, Petrovic is going to have one of those games where he scores 15 and has 8 assists or something, and he drops a behind the back pass for a slam, and yeah, they're going to come this year. We could be wrong about that, and we'll talk about that at the end of the season. And if we look back and say, you know what, Petrovic really didn't do anything all season, but I'd be shocked if that happened. And that's what makes me excited about the Illini upcoming. We'll get into it now because they do have a tough test on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. in Ohio State in Columbus at Value City Arena, which is historically a very tough place to play. Now, Ohio State in the last few years has been down in comparison to what they were in the past, but they're 7-1 right now. They only have one loss to Pittsburgh, who's actually a surprisingly good team. Ohio State is ranked 34th in Ken Palm. Um, Ohio State's no slouch. This is going to be a tough game for the Illini. It's their first true road test because I honestly don't think you can call whatever that performance by the or excuse me, by the Tennessee Volunteer fans, I don't think you could give them the home crowd advantage on that one. It sounded more pro Illini in Nashville, but this will be a true road test for Ohio State. I'm not sure how rowdy it's going to be because it's a Saturday night game, or excuse me, a Tuesday night game. Um, Students are back from break, but Ohio State just lost the Big Ten championship. They're more of a football school at the moment. They don't often pack that arena unless it's a very big game. So we'll see. The crowd could be fantastic. The crowd could be kind of mediocre. But this Ohio State team is not mediocre. And I really hope the Illini aren't going into this riding too much of a high from this last win because it's an important game to start off the Big Ten season with. We're going to have two Big Ten games before we get back into some non-conference play. Uh, but this will be a good one to watch. And you never are disappointed stealing a road win. I mean, remember a few years ago, man, road wins in the Big Ten for the Illini used to be impossible to come by. Now, I would say most Illini fans are expecting to win this game. I don't know what the line is at the moment. I'm not looking at it. I would assume maybe 6 or 5 points, given the Illini are ranked. But this is, like I said before, no slouch of an Ohio State team. They've got some really tough guards that I think are going to give the Illini a really good test. Bruce Thornton, averaging 20 points a game right now. They've got John Mobley Jr., their second leading scorer. So it's going to be a guard-oriented game. But then you have to look out for some of the bigs for Ohio State, too. They've got two 7-footers of their own. I don't think they're as talented as Thomas Love and Zvonimir, but they play a lot, and they're both 7 feet. So do you have any initial concerns for this game? Do you have any initial worries, or do you see pretty smooth sailing for the Illini in this one?
I'm not really worried about it at all. I mean, Jake Diebler does not scare me personally. Bruce Thornton is a pretty good player, but that's their only good player. Illinois has got like five really good players. So, but with that being said, I mean, like you were saying, road games in the Big Ten are not easy to win. But this is one of those games where if you want to separate yourself from last year's team, you got to win this game. Now, last year's team, maybe, they might not win this game. But this year's team, I'm confident that they should be able to go in there and get the job done. It's going to be a pretty quick turnaround, only, a few days, but I don't think that'll bother them much. They'll be ready to play. And, like you were saying, I don't think it'll be a big turnout. Ohio State generally does not turn out for their basketball games. If they did, I would be surprised. I would almost bet that there would be as many Illinois fans there as Ohio State fans, but we'll see. I mean, you never know. Now, in terms of matchups, I mean, who you have to imagine Bruce Thornton's probably going to be the best player for Ohio State. So, I
Him and
mean,
Kylan will be fun to
you,
watch go at it.
you got to match him up with Kylan. Now, who wins that battle? I don't know. I mean, obviously, I like to bet on Kylan. I think he's very good. And by the way, I found out about at the very end of the Tennessee game that they also had a guy named Boswell. My mind was blown. I was so confused the entire night. I'm
Yeah,
like, what are they
Bishop
talking
Boswell.
about? Boswell and Boswell. But there was two Boswells, so hopefully Ohio State does not have Boswell. But
They
either
do
way,
not have a Boswell looking at their roster.
and okay, and I guarantee you they don't have a Petrovic or a Merkovich. So, but you never know.
They actually do have they don't have a Petrovic or Mirkovic. They do have a Croatian, Ivan Njegovan. I don't know. There's a J after the N to start his name, so usually two consonants together don't work in my dictionary or in my
That's
English language.
concerning to me. Yeah,
Yeah, no. He's their 7-1 sophomore center. I believe he was on the team last year. Yeah, he was. Didn't play a whole lot, only averaged 1.6 points per game. He's averaging 4 this year. So he's not.
did we beat Ohio State last year?
I was looking at that. I was trying to find the game. I don't even remember them. I do remember. I think, let me check. I think it
Yeah,
was at Illinois.
it must have been if it's at Ohio State this year,
They
right?
played, no, they played twice last year with basketball. Let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
also,
they played twice last year. Illinois beat them at home, 87 to 75 when the Illini were ranked sixth at the time, January 30th of 2024. And then they also played them in the Big Ten tournament. I believe it was the second round, and it would have been Ohio State's second game, though. The Illini narrowly escaped with a 3-point win, 77-74. Um, No, I'm sorry. That's incorrect. I'm looking at the 2024 season because I was like, wait a second, Terrence Shannon Jr. wasn't on the team last year. Let's
I,
see.
I wish Terrence Shannon Jr. was on the team last year.
Oh, I would. Yeah, me too. Um, Illinois 2025 results. Like it's
Illinois,
weird that I can't remember.
I mean, maybe we didn't play him. Maybe there's so many Big Ten teams now, we just don't play one of them.
I feel like we should know this off the top of our head if we haven't
Hell
looked at
no.
it.
Ohio State's not even relevant. Why we don't have to know this.
I mean, okay, so I have confirmation they did play Ohio State last year. Let's see where the game was. I can't, yeah, it had to be at State Farm Center. The Illini won 87 to 79. Ohio State, oh, okay, so I'm kind of remembering this game last year because it was Ohio State took the lead by 6 at halftime, and I think it was one of those weird midday games, and then the Illini dominated in the second half. Um, but I mean, Ohio State does have a lot of returning players. So if you're going to give Ohio State anything, if you're going to give them any credit, they have a lot of returning players, kind of like Purdue. Devin Royals back, John Mobley Jr.'s back, Bruce Thornton's back. That's three of their five starters. Um, they also have a pretty talented freshman in Amari Bynum. He was number 47 in the ESPN Top 100. So he'll be a factor in this game too. But the only thing concerning me is that it's away. I'm really glad it's not one of those random 3 p.m. games. I guess it's a Tuesday, so that wouldn't make any sense anyways. Um, but still, it's a tough game. It's going to be their first true road test. What really gets me here, and I'm not going to make a score prediction or anything because I've already jinxed the Illini once, and I'm going to let you make a score prediction because you got it correct last time. Not score wise, but you at least got the win correct. But what concerns me the most is just there's only 3 games after the Tennessee game. And in the past, I know this is a different team than last year, but I feel like the Illini typically rode the high of games and then they just were underprepared for their next game sometimes and they played down to competition. And maybe that's just because I've been an Illinois fan for 26 years of my life and the Illini have typically played down to competition. But I feel like this game might be a little bit closer than most people are expecting. Let me find the line for this one real quick if they do have one already.
And you'd mentioned that Ohio State's similar to Purdue. I don't think Jake Diebler could even be Matt Painter's Uber driver.
No, I don't mean like they're not comparable talent wise necessarily, but just if you're looking at teams that return the most offensive production from last year, Ohio State is in the upper echelon of the Big Ten, also with Purdue, obviously. Now the line is 3.5. I think that feels fair. I hope the Illini push that to 7 or 8 and win this game by 10 with free throws at the end of it. But what do you think about that line, Noah? 3.5. Do you think the Illini win by more? Do you think they win by less? Do you think they lose? Give me your game prediction.
Yeah, I mean, if they win, I think it's going to be by more than that. So if you're confident in the Illini, I'd say bet, Illinois to cover that spread. And I do think Illinois is going to win. I mean, until they show me that they can't handle these games, because this isn't even a big game, right? Like if this was at Michigan or at Purdue, it'd be a different story. Well, if it was at Michigan, I would bet Illinois. I'd bet my house on Illinois because we own Michigan. But if it was at Purdue, at Michigan State, I wouldn't be as confident. But it's Ohio State. They did beat Northwestern, but from what I'm hearing, Northwestern's not the best team right now. So, I don't know what to think. But until they show that, they can't handle these semi-large games, I'm just going to ride with them. I'm going to be confident in them. I think Brad Underwood's the better coach. I think Illinois' got the deeper team. I mean, I don't know how good Bruce Thornton is, but if he was on Illinois, I wonder, would he be the best player in Illinois? Maybe not. I mean,
I
Illinois
think
got
Kyler
a
would start over him for sure.
right. Illinois got a very good team as well. So it's gonna, and this is a perfect example. Illinois got their stars got a star. They got to show Bruce Thornton like, hey, we got 4 potential draft picks on our team. And who those 4 are, that's up to you to decide because it could literally be anybody on the team. I mean, it could be Blake Fagbemi. I mean, according to Underwood, he is the most athletic player on the team. So, but I think Illinois is gonna win probably by if you were to bet Illinois by double digits, it wouldn't be a scary bet. I mean, if you think they're gonna win, I think double digits is a safe call. But would it surprise me if they lost? No, not really, because it's the Big Ten and it's Illinois. So it wouldn't surprise me if they lost. If they came out and just had a stinker. But it's the fact everyone's healthy, and it's the fact they have so many pieces. I mean, it doesn't matter if somebody has a bad game, anybody else can fill in. I mean, I haven't seen an Illinois team this deep ever in my lifetime. I mean, I haven't been watching for an extremely long time, but no, I think they get it done. I think it's a high scoring game. I think Illinois, score prediction. I'll go Illinois 88, Ohio State 76. And I think Illinois gets a 12-point win. I mean, I think Tommy's going to keep rolling. I think he tasted it and now he wants the whole thing. He's going to just go crazy. He's going to stretch the floor. He's going to hit threes. He's going to dunk. Somebody's going to have a crazy dunk. I can envision it now. Just Sports Center top 10 poster, maybe Ben Hummerkaus. He has been known to do that kind of thing. So I'm going Illinois 12-point victory. And player of the game will go Tommy.
All right. And I mean, if you're looking at statistics here, somebody's going to score 88 points in this game, so I'm hoping it will be the Illini. Both teams actually average 88.7 for the Illini and 88.4 for OSU. So both are pretty high octane offenses, at least to start this season. No, I'm not going to make a game prediction at least because I don't want to jinx them. But I will give you a few key points that I'm going to be looking for. I think most notably, Kylan Boswell on Bruce Thornton. That's going to be the matchup everybody's watching. I like Kylan Boswell's odds to hold Bruce Thornton to less than 20 points per. He's averaging 20 points per game. I like his odds to hold him to less than that. Um, there was a little mention, and I don't know if you caught it in the Tennessee game, and it was Karl Revich, and he had a few interesting takes that I heard. But one of them at the beginning of the game, now I don't think he wasn't necessarily knocking Kylan Boswell's defending, but what he was kind of alluding to was the fact that Kylan Boswell was known to be such a good defender last year that he hasn't lived up to expectations that this year. And I thought that was a little bit absurd because I mean Kylan's still our best defender. Um, we put him on JT Toppin for crying out loud, and he held JT Toppin. I know JT Toppin went off for 35 points, but defensively, we got the matchup we wanted when Kylan was on him, and it slowed their offense down entirely. Besides JT Toppin, because it was so hard to play against Kylan Boswell, and he was giving up 8 inches on him. So key point number one for this game, if the Illini are going to win, I like Kylan Boswell to hold Bruce Thornton to less than 20 points. Um, but that's going to be something that we're going to have to monitor. Now, Ohio State, not notorious for shooting the three ball very well this year. They are at 37%, but they do make 53% of their shots. So that what that tells me is that they get inside, they drive the lane. So I think what's going to be important also is if Tommy and Zvonimir are altering those shots. Zvonimir had 0 blocks last game. I think he leads the Big Ten in blocks per game right now, which is also crazy because he doesn't even play half the game. He only averages 19 minutes. So I'm looking to him and his brother Tommy to really kind of enforce their will inside and alter those shots because it's going to be a lot of Bruce Thornton driving. It's going to be a lot of Mobley Jr. driving. It's going to be a lot of Devin Royal driving. But if they can alter those shots at the rim, make it hard for the Buckeyes without fouling them, I like the Illini's chances in this game too. And then we said it last game. We've been saying it for a few games now. Andre's had some good games. He's had some okay games. I thought Andre looked pretty good against Tennessee, all things considered, but I'd like him to score a little bit more. Some of those finishes he had against the Tennessee team were actually just incredible to like finish through contact. But I don't think he was assertive enough. This guy can and has shown that he can average 18 points a game and get 18 points on any given night. I'd like to see him be a little bit more assertive this time around. Not as big of a matchup as it was against Tennessee in terms of the Ohio State's not ranked. Um, but you want your best scorer to be your best scorer, and I don't know if Andre is going to be the leading scorer all season, but he's proven so far that when they need a bucket, he can get one. So I'd like to see him take advantage of what I think is a pretty positive matchup for him. I'm not going to, speculate on who Ohio State would put against him. But looking at this Ohio State roster, if we're just looking at matchups here, most likely will be Brandon Knoll. He's a starter for the Ohio State Buckeyes, 6'8" senior. I think he was a transfer from Wright State. Um, you know, I haven't watched Brandon Knoll personally play defense this year, but I gotta imagine Andre can take this guy if Andre wants to be a player that's in the NBA and a high level scorer in the NBA. Uh, you gotta beat guys like Brandon Knoll on Tuesday nights in Ohio State. So I'll be looking at Andre. I'll be looking at Kylan Boswell defending Bruce Thornton, and I'll be looking at the two bigs for the Illini because, like I said before, Ohio State has some bigs of their own, but I think it'll be mostly their guards driving, and if Zvonimir and Tomislav can block shots or at least contest them and make it hard for the Ohio State Buckeyes to get inside, I really like our chances in this game. So no, I'm not going to agree, or I'm not going to go ahead and say I agree with your exact score prediction, but I like the way you're thinking there. Um, if I had to be so bold, I think the Illini come up on top. But we will see on Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. This game's on Peacock, which I don't mind
Oh,
because I have Peacock, but I know people hate Peacock. So uh,
yeah. I don't even know if I have Peacock to be honest, but I do want to add another thing, and this might be the hottest take of the podcast that we've ever made so far.
I'm ready
Don't
for it.
don't unsubscribe, but I did not mind the Jelly Roll segment. Everybody hated the Jelly Roll segment. All
Moment for
Jeremy
Jelly Roll.
Warner, I mean Jeremy Warner, basically crucified Jelly Roll. And I don't listen to Jelly Roll personally. I don't listen to his music. But I thought he was spreading a good message. He lost a bunch of weight, Ozempic, whatever he was doing. I don't know what he was doing, but he was talking a while, but at the same time, I don't care what the guys have to say about Illinois. They're hating on Illinois the whole game. They're just glazing Tennessee. So it's like, oh, well, I'd rather hear Jelly Roll talk about how his kid's running around causing havoc around the stadium. But everyone hated that segment. But I think we were in agreement. We actually, we didn't mind it. Maybe
Yeah,
they should bring Jelly Roll back every game. Maybe he's our good luck charm. Did anyone ever think about that?
if that's a hot take, Noah, then I'll step on those coals with you because I also think he did a pretty good job. What was most impressive to me as somebody who just, I mean, I have a little bit of broadcast journalism background from my time in school. What was most impressive to me was he didn't they bring in a lot of these guys like mid-game interviews, and the guys will just talk over the announcers, and they won't really understand the cue. Like there's times when the announcers need to be talking, and then there's times to be talking as a guest. And I thought Jelly Roll did a really good job of kind of only talking when he needed to. He never really interrupted any of the plays. So I thought that was impressive. I mean, just as an announcer, former announcer of high school sports myself, I thought that was pretty impressive. And I agree with you. I think his message was pretty good. I guess Tennessee fans won't want to see him on the sidelines of the court in any future games because they lost this one. But hey, if we can get Jelly Roll tickets to some of these games for the Illini, it might bode well for us. But um, now this will probably be our review for the Ohio State game just because they do play Tuesday. But Noah and I are going to have consistent previews, recaps of games. We'll probably have some more guests on here in the upcoming weeks. The schedule doesn't get any easier for the Illini. We got Ohio State, then we got Nebraska, then they have kind of a bye game against Southern, but you don't want to overlook that one either. And then the bragging rights game against Missouri, which I was lucky enough to find out I'll be attending. I found that out today, so I'm really excited about that. And I think it's 15 days from now, on Monday the 22nd. So that'll be my third game of the year, and I don't know, maybe we'll try and find something we can do for that. Like I'd like to attend a game and either like live, you can't live
Get
stream
some
games.
footage, do like a vlog and get some
Yeah,
footage
well,
and,
we'll
stay in the
discuss
light.
that and see how we can kind of come up with what to do when we're at games. And but like it's all brand new to us, so we're still figuring it out as we go. Appreciate you guys listening. One more time, the Illini play Tuesday night against Ohio State at Ohio State in Columbus. That's a 6:30 p.m. Central Time tip-off. Noah, it's been a pleasure talking with you again. I'm sure we're gonna be talking either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, depending on how our schedules align. But I look forward to hopefully another Illini win. Either way, we're going to have a lot to talk about. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Noah. Again, thanks for being here.
ILL.
I and I.